Welcome to the chat where the deals get done. Real estate tips and a whole lot of fun. Think different, achieve your goals. Real estate simplified, that's how we roll.
Hi there, I'm Mike Cruz, broker owner of Reside, the real estate company, here with Brandon Rizik of Allied Mortgage.
Morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, how are rates this week?
Rates are good. Rates are good, man.
Yeah.
I'm actually really excited about rates right now. Listen, they haven't dropped significantly, but we are showing every single sign of rates starting to come down gradually, slowly, surely. Everything is pointing towards later in the year, fourth quarter, a couple Fed cuts, which in turn is creating a lot of stability now and speculation now where rates are starting to price those Fed cuts in right now.
Great.
So I will tell you over the last week since our last podcast, we're probably down 0.25% in interest rate.
That's awesome.
In a week, which is really good. And right now there's no signs of it really stopping or going up. So it's looking up and up.
That's great.
Finally, a positive outlook in the interest rate world.
And I gotta say, we're actually seeing it on the real estate side. Housing inventory. Inventory is steady. We had been talking about it going up for the last few weeks, and it seems to be leveling off. And buyers are out there. Actually, a couple agents I've spoken to have run into multiple offers in the last couple days.
Wait a minute.
I mean, nothing crazy.
Wait a minute. Our crash is over.
Yeah.
So
Right.
The crash that was coming is over.
The 2025
that lasted,
doomsday?
The 2-week crash of inventory. So, no, as we spoke, Mike, many times, as we've mentioned, guys, there's, in our humble opinion, there is no crash coming. As soon as these rates really come down, you're going to see multiple offers all over the place.
And it's not like 7, 8 offers, things going for over list price, but it is where on a nice house that's been kept up well and is truly priced correctly, we are seeing multiple offers where you do have to put your best foot forward per se on the initial offer. You can't offer 20, 30,000 less and expect to get a counteroffer.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And values are holding, so that's awesome.
Right.
That's a good sign. Very good sign. So awesome. And Mike, there's a lot of questions out there when it comes to your home itself. When you said good home just now,
right?
There's a lot of questions out there like, I want to improve my home and I want to do things to my home, but I think it's good to spend some time today and talk about what improvements, in your opinion, as a real estate broker, you've been out there, you've seen it all, you view houses, you sell houses, you do it all. What improvements are the most value, okay? When I say value, there's two different things to value. We'll start with actual value. What adds value? Because, having a home sell quicker than another might be somebody's version of value, but I'm talking about actually adding dollars to your equity.
So to add dollars to your equity, make the home more valuable, there's typically 2 rooms you want to focus on. Number 1, the kitchen.
The kitchen.
Yes. And number 2, it would be the primary bathroom.
Okay.
So let's talk about the kitchen first.
The kitchen. This is where everybody spends their time.
Right.
Good.
When you have people over, a gathering of, whether it's a party or a family gathering, whatever the case may be, people tend to just gather in the kitchen.
Let's talk
Tends
about
to be
that.
the spot.
I have a home, has a very beautiful kitchen, beautiful. I have a wonderful living room. I want to sit in this room. It kind of looks over the whole house. It's very nice. It's beautiful. I actually go sit in this room because I like it. I have people over and they're stuck in my kitchen and family room. Like, I can't get them out.
You can't get them out.
I can't get them out. The kitchen is the focal point of your home.
I hear that from a lot of people, so you're not the only one with that issue.
I'm sure. I tried to convert it to a pool table. My wife said no. She said no. So
worth the effort.
Yeah, right.
So what you want to do in your kitchen, and every house is different, obviously the setup, but cabinets, countertops, fixtures, appliances, and flooring. Those are your main components. 5 main things in a kitchen. Obviously, as time goes on, it changes what people want to see. But I can tell you right now,
different styles. Is that
Right.
what you mean by that? You know,
Yeah.
like decorative styles, colors?
Exactly. I mean,
Okay.
back in 2000, everything was oak cabinets.
Yeah.
And it's what people wanted. People loved it. Moved to the maple. Well, here we are in 2025. People love the white cabinets. Just the bright white cabinets, quartz countertops, variations of it from the grays to the whites, and that can vary a little bit. Starting to see a little bit more of the medium brown cabinets come back.
Really?
So yeah, maybe with a little bit of an ashy gray tone to them.
I've noticed the two tones come
Yeah.
back too.
Yes.
You know, like they have white cabinets, and then they'll maybe have black cabinets on an island, or
right.
whatever the color
right.
may be.
One of the
I'm just-
homes I featured a few weeks ago features that with
Yeah.
the white cabinets on the top, and then they have like a, I don't want to say a dark blue, but almost a navy blue, but not quite on the bottom.
Yeah.
And a lot of great feedback. That home sold. So yeah, people love that.
Okay. So the kitchen, you know, when you say fixtures in the kitchen, do you mean the appliances, the faucets, the sink?
The appliances, the faucets, the knobs on the handles. Right now, the contemporary modern look is in with
Mm-hmm.
those fixtures. The nickel-plated faucets are definitely
I've seen
still
a lot
popular.
of brushed gold lately too. I've seen brass,
Right,
bronze, whatever you
right.
want to call
No,
it.
but you're right,
But
that
brushed
brushed gold-
gold is coming
Brushed
back too.
gold with a black sink.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that quite a bit recently. So it just depends on your personal flavor, if you will.
Sure.
But yeah, and stainless steel appliances are definitely, I think those are kind of the permanent all-purpose.
Right.
But we are seeing a lot of the brushed stainless steel, almost looks like a black or unfinished stainless steel.
I've noticed too, and this is just my curiosity, I've noticed a lot of people, and this is something that was years ago that I thought kind of went away, but I'm starting to see people put almost like the fascia of the cabinets again. And maybe I'm just seeing it randomly, but I'm starting to see like the fascia of the cabinets go back on the fridge again, or not the fridge, or like the, you know, just I'm starting to see it more blending,
Right.
as opposed to
yes.
just standing out. Built-ins are big,
Right.
like when it comes to
Built-ins
refrigerators
are definitely
and stuff.
big.
So
Yeah, and wine refrigerators are always a plus.
yeah, Yeah.
Actually seen a couple homes where they take the dishwasher out, put in a wine fridge, and maybe they'll put the dishwasher in the butler's pantry if the home has it.
it's not very functional.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not, but I have seen it a couple times. Kind of weird, but
So you talked about the kitchen being number one. I just want to spend one more minute on the kitchen. So let me ask you a question, because I see this a lot. What about painting your cabinets versus replacing your cabinets?
painting is definitely more economical. However, if you're not going to sand them down, if you're not going to finish the insides, you're better off not touching them.
So when you're saying paint them, don't just spray paint the cabinets. You
Right.
need to sand them down, do the inside, do it the
needs
right.
to look
Right.
professional. And I'm speaking if you plan on selling your home. If you're doing it just for you, do whatever you want.
Right.
But obviously, you still want it to look nice. But also the hinges on the doors. Make sure you finish those off right. You don't want,
Redo the hardware.
right.
Redo everything.
Don't leave paint on the hardware.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you just want it to look nice. People notice those details. You don't think they will, because you might not notice it, but when you're selling a home, they absolutely notice.
Okay.
And every person, man or woman, will look inside the cabinets
Oh yeah, you have to.
see if it's finished in there or not.
So now let me
So-
ask you. You said primary bathroom.
Yes.
Talk about that, okay? Because you know there's so many different variations of a primary bathroom, but generally most homes in the modern world, modern
Mm-hmm.
homes, when I say modern, I say maybe late 80s and up, have a double sink,
Right.
master,
Yes.
or I should say primary. I'm sorry, this is my correctness coming out. In the primary bathroom, and then but what else? What do you suggest to be done?
If you have a primary bathroom without a double sink, that needs to be priority number one, because that's almost a bare minimum
Like
now.
a standard now.
Yes, yeah. I have seen sales of homes beautiful homes not sell because it does not have a secondary primary sink.
I mean, even hotel
So-
rooms have this now.
right,
I mean, it's
right.
a thing.
It's kind of a must-have at this point. Moving on from that, the biggest thing is if you have the room for a separate tub and shower, do that. If you have a large primary bathroom, make it more spa-like, make it more luxurious, the super large shower, and then if you have the room, do a large soaking tub.
Some kind of soaking tub.
Freestanding soaking.
Freestanding.
Yes.
Because I was going to bring that up because in the late 80s, or I should say mid to late 80s, all the way through the 90s, it was this thing to have this small shower almost.
Right.
And this big, huge tub with steps going into it. I mean, we see
the
it
garden
everywhere,
tub
right?
or the jacuzzi tub.
And it looks
Yeah.
grand, it looks awesome,
Right.
but it's not functional.
No.
I mean, how often, I take a bath once every 5 years, and that's because
Right.
I need Epsom salt, right? I mean, you know, but you know, my wife maybe once a year. I mean,
Yeah.
how functional is a bathtub anymore?
Well, right, but people love the look of those big, grand soaking tubs. And I got to say, you talk about function, I don't think those are the most functional either.
No.
But people love the looks of them. I've even seen where they put rocks around it, making it even more difficult to get in and out of. But it gives that Zen spa feel that people absolutely love.
okay.
So yeah, if you have the room for it, you have it in the budget, that adds dollar for dollar value to your home.
Okay.
Easily dollar for dollar. And if you have the room for the large shower where maybe 2 or even 3 shower heads, that's huge.
I have to say that is a nice selling point.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I look at those and I say, wow, that's kind of nice. You
Right.
know, even though I'm in the shower for a total of 7 minutes, maybe 4.
Right, and some of them are so big,
Yeah.
it's like the whole family could shower if they wanted to. It's
Yeah.
a little ridiculous, but once again, it gives that big spa feel, that feeling of being on vacation without being on vacation when you're trying to start your day.
Okay, that's true. What else, Mike? What else is out there that is going to add dollars to your home? Okay, because there's other improvements that people think they do, but they really don't. And we'll get to that in a
Right.
minute. But what else adds physical dollars? I mean, it doesn't have to
So-
be everything, but just a couple more examples.
So obviously, a pool will add value.
Okay.
It's not going to add dollar for dollar. You're
No.
going to take a loss on a pool if you have a pool already. And the general rule of thumb here in Las Vegas in the hot desert, the general rule of thumb for a pool is $20,000 is what an appraiser is going to value your pool at.
Okay.
And I can tell you here in 2025,
You're not building
you're
a
not
pool
building
for
a pool
20
for
grand.
20,000. You're not even building a pool for 40,000.
You might dig the hole for 20 grand,
Right.
and that's about it.
Right. So don't add a pool to sell your home. Add a pool for you, and if you sell your home 5-10 years down the line, great.
It'll
But
help
get the
pay for
value
itself.
out of it in the meantime. Outdoor kitchens. And this goes with the pool, the overall landscape. If you put about $100,000 into your backyard with a pool and some basic landscaping and a nice barbecue, built-in barbecue, which I think that can be done for about $100,000, you're probably going to add about $30,000 to $40,000.
Okay. But let's talk about the outdoor kitchen real quick, and
Mm-hmm.
it's probably the smallest thing we should be talking about, but I just am interested in it. Why is that such a value? Do you, I mean, is this just what people want, or do you have a
People-
reason?
Kind of like the kitchen, with people gathering.
Uh-huh.
When the weather's good, you're outdoors barbecuing at the pool, people will gather out there.
Because it
So-
seems like something that's kind of, I mean, you could buy one at Home Depot for like
Right.
$2 grand. I mean, is it that nice? No, but I mean, you
No,
could.
exactly.
You know?
Yeah, no, you can, but people will use it as a gathering spot. If you have that big long counter that could be also doubled as a bar,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. There's definitely some value in there, and people appreciate that.
That's cool. That's good to know.
And it's not necessarily about the true functionality, but it's how people envision it too
Yeah.
when they're viewing the home.
Right. Well, if they entertain a lot, that's the place to
Exactly.
be, right? That makes
Yeah.
sense. That makes sense. Okay. What else, Mike? I have to imagine there's some other decent upgrades that people
So-
should focus on.
Right. A lot of people think flooring, or a lot of people actually overlook flooring. If you haven't replaced your floors in quite a while and you have a lot of carpet, when you move your stuff out of there, especially if you're going to sell your home before or after you move out and sell it vacant, you're probably going to want to replace your floors. The big thing right now, and I actually had this conversation with the past client just yesterday, luxury vinyl plank flooring.
Not the
It
cheap
is
one.
not
Okay,
the cheap
luxury is the
stuff.
key word.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And yeah, it's a vinyl floor, but it's waterproof. So you can literally do it in the entire home, have the one floor all the way through where everything flows. Absolutely gorgeous. It's easy to maintain. That's the huge selling part on it, is that it's so easy to maintain, and it looks really nice.
I redid my house, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a carpet person. I don't
Yeah.
like carpet. I have rugs, but I don't like carpet. So
Right.
I redid it. I put vinyl plank flooring, the luxury vinyl plank flooring,
Yes.
all through the downstairs, on the steps, and then upstairs I did it as well, but with a different floor.
Right.
But it is throughout my entire house. It takes a quick sweep, a quick mop, and it's perfect. There's never, I mean, it's very
Right.
rare to even get a scratch on it. It's awesome.
Right.
I like it. It actually looks great.
Yeah, it keeps up well too. Durable, and much better than carpet. And if you're selling your home, and your house has a lot of carpet, I'm sorry to tell you, replace that carpet. Take that carpet out. Carpet 100% does not belong in a bathroom. First off,
What's up, 1987?
I got to tell you, one of my agents right now has a listing where there's carpet in the bathroom, and the house just is not selling. And that is the feedback we get on it. That is the number one thing. They don't want carpet in the bathroom.
Well, it shouldn't
So it can be replaced easy for a low cost, and they should.
Okay, so we've got flooring. What flooring is bad?
Carpet.
Carpet.
It depends on what it is.
Is tile bad? Is tile good?
You know, a lot of people still like tile, but a lot of people don't like tile. If you're going to do tile, and if your house has tile, the bigger the better. The 18 by 18 square tile, most people still really like. But if you're the small 12 by 12 squares or even smaller that they did back in the early 90s, you might have a little trouble.
Okay, so don't
And-
waste your money on that.
Right, and if you have tile, spend the money to get the
Grout cleaned.
steam cleaned. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It's just a little bit more than cleaning your carpets. And
$200, whatever it is, right?
And it practically looks brand new after that. So that's money well spent. Is if you do have tile floors, get them steam cleaned.
Okay, so all right, that's good info. So guys, bottom line is, I think that Mike kind of laid out what improvements might be the best for dollar or for
Right.
investment purposes into your home. But I think the biggest thing you have to weigh out, and this is again more Mike's category, but you know, if you're going to live in your home or if you're doing it to sell your home. So now the next podcast we have how to prepare your house to sell, which we'll get into some of that. But you know, this one here, I think some of these improvements you need to weigh out. Are you doing this
Right.
to sell your home? Are you doing this to live in your home? Are you doing this to add dollars? You know, so you have to analyze what might be worth it.
Right,
You know,
and
where's
ana-
that happy median?
Analyze is the right word. What you really want to do is step out of your house. When you walk in through that front door, and this is way before you put it on the market, look at your house as if you were the buyer. Think about when you bought your home, the first time you walked into your house, and say to yourself, what needs to be done?
Go look at a couple other listings.
And go look at a
then
couple
look
other
at your
homes
house.
too.
That's my
Right.
advice personally.
Right. And the number one thing you're probably going to see is the paint. Does the house need to be repainted? It might look fine to you every day, but think about it. When you pull out the bed from the wall, is it going to look a little dingy? What about those scuff marks at the corner walking around the hallway? Think about that. You want it to look fresh and get rid of any old dirty
Don't
look.
steal the next podcast, Mike. This is
No,
the
no,
next
no, I know.
podcast. So, but what improvements are good to do but they're not necessarily going to add much value. I think this is
Right.
kind of what you were touching on
Right.
just now.
Yeah, so you want the house to look fresh on the inside, but the most important thing is your curb appeal when somebody pulls up. Landscaping, maybe add a few flowers. Maybe your house looks great, but add a few flowers. And
If your landscaping's dingy, it's dead, it's the middle of summer, things are brown,
Right.
it's not going to look good.
Exactly.
Your garage door's not good, the paint's chipping, your driveway looks awful, cracked driveways. These are curb appeal. Is that
Right.
what you're going with?
Exactly. Fresh paint on the front door. And we'll talk about that more
Fresh
next
paint
week.
on the front door.
Fresh paint on the front door. Because, and here's why. Those potential buyers, chances are the real estate agent opening the front door has to go get the key. They're going to spend a couple minutes waiting at the front door. They're looking around.
That's true.
So it's really important that they get that good first impression.
These are subliminal messages at this point. I mean, this
Right,
is, yeah,
right.
absolutely, okay.
You may have a beautiful wreath on that front door, but if there's cobwebs in the corner, you might as well not have that beautiful wreath.
Yeah, that's true.
So just keeping it clean, and yeah, I always recommend fresh paint on the front door.
Okay, what else, Mike? What else is really good to help with resale, but it's not really going to
So-
add value?
So we're going to talk about the functional components of the home. HVAC, if your home's 20 years old or older and it has the original AC unit, and I can tell you, especially here in Las Vegas, especially for between April and October, every person that looks at a home, they're going to go look at the AC unit before
Well,
they
nowadays
write
with
an
the
offer.
cost, I mean, it's ridiculous what they cost to
Well,
replace
yeah,
it. So.
they're very expensive.
But wait a minute. So does that add dollar, or is this just adding resale?
It's going to add resale.
Not dollar.
It might add a few dollars, but certainly nothing compared to what your cost is. And let's just take a neighborhood, and it literally can be any neighborhood. Let's just say there's 3 homes on the market in that neighborhood. One of them has a new AC unit. The other 2, let's say one was replaced 5 years ago and one's original. The one with the new AC unit, I would be willing to bet is going to sell first. And you might be able to sell it for $3,000 to $5,000 more than the other 2.
But you're not getting dollar for dollar.
You're definitely not getting dollar for dollar. But because here in the desert, that air conditioning is very important to
Right.
us, and we can't imagine it breaking in the middle of summer, having
We've
a
all
brand
been
new
there.
AC.
If you've lived here, it's
Yeah,
happened to you at some
right.
point, right? And it's
Absolutely.
awful.
Yeah.
And it's awful.
It
Well,
is.
So okay, so HVAC, okay, we have that AC furnace.
Uh-huh.
What about, this is something that I'm a freak on because we don't have basements here.
Right.
I think our garage is really important. And a lot of
Yes.
people put zero emphasis on their garage, and a lot of people are like me, where their
Mm-hmm.
floor needs to be done, epoxied, or they need cabinets in their garage.
Right.
What does this do?
So everybody loves the overhead hanging storage racks in the garage. They're not expensive. Those, you're probably getting dollar for dollar, if not a little bit better.
So these are
Because
good upgrades.
Those are good upgrades.
Okay.
Any storage cabinets in the garage, garage insulation, especially if you're going to be selling in the summertime, garage insulation is actually fairly inexpensive. It's
I do it myself every
well,
house.
I was going to say it's basically just styrofoam that goes on the inside of your garage door. It's
It's 50
money
bucks
well
for a
spent.
pack of 5 of them. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like really cheap.
right, no, and that's something you might get a $500 value out of without a problem.
Right.
So
And honestly, you should do it anyway. If you live in the
Right.
desert, I do this in every home. Forget about selling. I just do it to keep my garage cooler.
Right.
It's probably knocking 10 degrees off my garage. Just that
Easy,
alone.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, so, and then windows. If you have an older home and if you have single pane windows, I'm going to tell you that's a non-negotiable to replace the windows. Otherwise, if you have dual pane windows, but they're a metal frame, they generate heat. People when they're looking at a home, they look out the windows. Probably more than you ever do once you move into the house in a lot of cases. So it can be worthwhile to replace the windows, and especially if you have south-facing windows, a lot of times they get where the seal gets broken, and you can always tell that because there might be moisture on the inside or look like there's a film. And if in those cases, that's something that's going to come up on a home inspection report also. So just go ahead, get those replaced up front, and that way you can avoid it down the road when negotiating.
Windows
repairs.
are great. I think it's efficiency, but you're never getting dollar for dollar back on
You're
windows.
not.
Windows are not cheap.
No.
Now, I don't recommend anybody go to Anderson. They have the best windows, but I mean, you're going to pay a car's worth of
Right.
windows. I mean, it's ridiculous what they charge. But you know, and I'm gonna step into the real estate world here. If you're going to live in the house, windows are always a good idea.
Right.
Energy efficiency, and it does add that for when you do sell it. But if you're just listing your house for sale, I don't know that I would run and do windows.
Correct.
Let's
And
get that. Like, I just want to emphasize that because I don't want people to just go spend 20 grand on windows when they're going to get
Right.
3 grand back on their
Right.
sale, you know.
The exception maybe is if it's a much older home where they are single pane windows
Yeah.
built in the 70s and before. In that case, you probably will get a bump in your value because you replace the windows. But yeah, otherwise, not so much.
Okay.
So that about wraps up that portion. I know we've got a couple questions from some viewers here. So how do you finance improvements?
All right. Well, financing improvements is somewhat easy, somewhat hard. It's really, there's no way around this. So number one, if you already own your home and you have equity, you can always go get a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, or a second mortgage if you have enough equity.
Yeah.
Okay, where you can finance that over a long portion. I always recommend the line of credit instead of just the second mortgage, because sometimes you may not know exactly what you need. So if you have a line of credit, you only pay
Right.
for what you use. You know what I mean? Your interest isn't based on
Right.
just a full
So
loan
you're
amount.
not going to have just extra money that you're paying interest on.
Correct. Or you know, you can use it, pay it down a little bit, and you're not paying interest on something you did 6 months ago. You
Right.
know what I mean? So that's why I always recommend the line of credit.
Okay.
Usually the draw periods on those are 10 years. You can do a 5-year or 3-year, depending on what your terms are with whatever bank you went to.
Right.
And then after that, it turns into a fixed mortgage. I mean, so that's why I recommend the line of credit if you're responsible about it, because don't go on vacation with it. That, you know, you're tapping into your future equity and
Yeah.
your financial well-being in that. You don't want to spend it doing stuff like that. But if you're reinvesting it back into your property or yourself or your business, then definitely a home equity line of credit's probably a good choice.
Okay.
Now you can do rehab loans. There are rehab loans, which I think is a whole nother podcast at some point.
Yeah, and I was going to ask, if I'm buying a home and it's a little bit of a fixer-upper, can I just roll that money in with the original mortgage?
Yes. So you can do what's called a renovation loan. Okay. So FHA has what's called the 203K loan.
Yeah.
Fannie Mae has, or Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have the home style renovation loans, and
Okay.
VA has a renovation loan. I'm sorry, I forget the exact name of it, but you know, what you can do is get, you know, contractors out there, see what work needs to be done, and then you can base the value on the work that's being done. So you'll have a HUD inspector, go out there and make sure that the contractor's legit, their quotes are legit. Even though you're buying the house for $400,000, they're saying your after rehab value is going to be $480. So they're going to base everything off $480, and you'll be able to draw money out to do
Okay.
the renovation. So it's actually, if you're buying a home that you really love and it's like a fixer-upper or whatever it may be, but you really want this neighborhood, you want this floor plan, you want everything, but it needs work, talk to your loan professional about a renovation loan. They're not that common anymore, but they do exist.
Okay.
And you can get it done. And if you're willing to do the work and get it done, I mean, you are financing it without having to do it out of pocket, or, you know, closing and then doing a home equity line or something down the road. You don't have to do, you can do it before you move in. So this is something that you definitely want to check with your bank on. Call your professionals, your real estate agent, your loan officer, and see if they offer this and what kind of options you have. So
Great. No, just another option that people have, and that's what it's all about. We're here to think differently to
Yeah.
achieve your goals and think outside the box.
absolutely,
And-
and we will go into all that. I think that's a whole nother podcast on how those work.
Yes,
those
so-
loans work. So
On that subject, if there's something you guys want to see, put it in the comments below. If you have a question for us, throw it in there. We'll try and address it on the next podcast. And we do. We want you to think differently to achieve your goals in real estate. And we're here to help you along the way. So if you give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, And we look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Right on. Thanks, Mike.
All right.
Well,